Let me tell you a fun fact. Our first names went kind of sort of viral in the last week for not very appreciable reasons. Mine for cheating against Vishwanathan Anand in chess, and yours for giving copyright strikes to a parody video. Did you know any of this?
No, I didn't.
No wonder you got into IIT, bro. That amount of dedication, control, distraction, bro. Great. So for those who still haven't found out, today we have with us Vivek, who is currently studying his first year mechanical engineering from IIT Madras, and his JEE Advanced AIR is 1600 plus. His BitSat score is 410 out of 450. So let's begin our conversation by discussion about our timetables, cause this will manifest in the form of routine in our college days, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
let me ask you a question that may sound silly, but still anyway answer it. When did you make your timetable?
Well, every day, first of all, you need to have a plan to just know what to start to read. So I make a timetable like on a Sunday so that I can plan for the Monday till Saturday. And Sunday, like I take a day off once a week, but that was like during my the COVID period. Before that, when school was there, I didn't really take breaks and all. So mainly, if you have to make timetable, because it will really help to like finish the portions accordingly, chapter wise, and then it will help a lot to just make timetable.
I usually make the timetable on the previous day night. No, I experimented trying to do on the morning of that particular day and previous day night. But on experimentation, I found out the previous day night was way better, because as soon as I woke up, I had this exact idea of what to do without even looking at the timetable. I knew what to do. So that helped me very, very much.
Yeah, it depends on every person. Anyone can have any way of making a timetable, but at the end of the day, you just have to make a timetable.
Yeah, timetable is actually a very individual specific thing, right? You make it according to your strengths.
Yeah.
That's the thing, okay. So this brings me to my next question. What do you exactly write in your timetable? Do you just write what chapters you want to complete, or do you give a particular time slot for these chapters?
Yeah, okay. First, I have like a separate book where I've written all the chapter names and like which is the difficult, which is the most important, and like how they have asked it in the previous years. So after I've written that, then what do I say? Like I make a time range within which I like finish a few set of chapters. Accordingly, like if I want to finish like one chapter, in the initial stage, you have to take some time, right, like, to really understand the syllabus. So at that time, you have to like spend like 2 to 3 days for the basics. And when you go to school, like in the usual times when you go to school, then you can just practice that, because when you come back home, you also need to have some self-study, and you can't just waste time at school just having fun. So for me, I was in an integrated program which had a coaching institute. So I did questions there also and at home. So it will help me practice a lot of questions. So like if let's say I took a chapter coordinate geometry, it has few chapters like parabola, hyperbola, and ellipsis. And so that's a major topic, so you have to spend a lot of time in it. But if you take lessons like statistics, mathematical induction, all those things are just pretty much a waste of time, but you just have to read it just for JEE, just for the sake of reading it, so if any straightforward question comes, you can easily answer it. So if you take the main topics like coordinate geometry, you have to spend like at least 1 week. Like most suitable thing is 2 weeks, because you have to really cover all the things in it.
There are about 4 chapters, right? It's a huge, very huge unit.
Yes, it's a very huge unit, and it contains like a lot of formulas and whatever stuff was there. I forgot right now, but yeah.
When I made my timetable, I didn't write the time there, because whenever I wrote the time, that time restriction did not give me satisfaction of how much of chapters I completed. I was like, if like 11:30 to 12:30 was around for dedicated for physics, means in that 1 hour, whatever chapters I did, I was not happy with that. So I thought, till I am satisfied, I'll do that particular chapter, then I'll move to the next chapter. Here itself, you can see the timetable is an individual specific thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, in the lockdown, how long did you spend for your self-studies, and how long did you spend for watching lectures and stuff?
Well, in the institution that I was in, like really I had the syllabus finished like within 4 to 5 months before the JEE was supposed to be held in.
Oh, okay.
So I had a lot of time, and then since they kept on postponing, I really didn't have lecture videos. I just had self-study time. So then I just studied like for rocks at least 10 to 12 hours because it was needed, because it just kept on getting postponed and I knew that everyone else would so surely be studying. And one more important thing is that you have to, as I was saying, like one of the most important things is that you have to know that the competition is relative and really scoring marks is an important thing. So when you have like 8 lakh people competing, or more than 8 lakhs, I don't know how much, but all those people will surely make use of the lockdown. And at least you know that the top 2 lakhs will surely make use of it because they are basically the top 90 percentile kind of people. So those kind of people will really put a lot of effort. So you have to like, cope up with them. So you have to take at least 10 hours in the lockdown period, and then otherwise you can just make other stuff to do.
I did about 14-15 hours a day. The reason was simple, because I started my preparation late, and I was doing only 2 subjects, so I need to be so very strong in those subjects. You had 3 subjects, right? You're doing 3 subjects. I was doing only 2 subjects, so that took more time for me. I had to spend so much, plus I was starting late. That's the reason. So did you leave any chapter for your preparation while you're preparing?
Leading in the sense that I just didn't really didn't involve lessons like those in mathematical induction, statistics.
Those they main specific topics you didn't pay attention.
I didn't even care about it. I just read it like 1 week before the exam, just for the sake of like, seeing the formulas. Nothing else.
How do you go about learning a particular chapter?
I mean like in the initial stages, right?
Initial stages,
First you have to read the theory. So if you're in the coaching institute, they'll give some books surely. But those books like contain the most applied formulas, and they just keep on giving some. So for doing that, you have to have like a conceptual understanding of what is actually happening. For that, I really recommend, people think I'm crazy, but I really recommend Sharma. Like to start with a lesson, I used it because at the start, no one will have any knowledge about a lesson. So that book really helped a lot to just learn what it actually is, do very basic problems, and then going to your package problems or whatever you're going to do next, those you can really understand more and can solve it easily.
Great, bro. Sharma, I never thought somebody would recommend that, because that is actually the foundation, right? That book is
starting with it, and you have to read it because you have no knowledge about it.
That's
why I picked it.
That's one of the best books, bro. You did the subjective Sharma or the objective one?
At that time, I think I already had the subject. I just had some Sharma. I had subjective as well as objective problems, like back in the book back kind of things. Will have like 10 questions I think for each exercise. So I did an Sharma. I just don't know what it is actually.
Okay. In connection with the earlier question I asked, did you have any backlogs?
Backlogs, no, because as I was in an institution, they were actually they're forcing me to finish within a certain time limit, right? So for me, no backlogs really, but I went in the pace that I wanted to go, but made sure I had some few changes so that I am benefited, so that I won't have to like rush up in that same time period.
So distractions is one very important thing that we have during our preparation day. So how did you deal with those?
In the starting, I wanted to have things like Instagram, Facebook, and all those stuff, but parents just said no. So I just listened. I didn't oppose it, because anyway, I didn't really have that much of an interest in it anyways at the starting periods. Then COVID came and all those stuff. Then distractions really came from Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So that I watched, but I only watched in like 1 day a week, like my break day from studies. And that too, I watched only after like few months after. They just kept on postponing because it just like made me spent. So I just wanted to have a day off, and my parents recommended it.
Too much mental pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
7 days a week with no enjoyment at all, especially in lockdown time.
Yeah.
I was too much distracted with Instagram and YouTube. So I found out my solution was to distance myself from the app. So whenever I use Instagram, whenever I had to use, I would install it. After using, I'd uninstall it. So every time I have to do that again and again. And I started unfollowing all those people I was following, and just followed 10 people who were like very interesting personalities, and they posted less. So my interest to opening Instagram itself was very less after that. there's nothing in my feed to see. And YouTube, I just created a new account where I search only for JEE related content. So only that was recommended to me, no distractions as such.
Yeah, for me, Instagram, I wanted to join, but I didn't join it because, for obvious reasons, I just needed to prepare. But I joined it after finishing JEE and then getting seat in IIT and all those stuff. And then I joined it, I think, on December end or January starting only of this year.
So everybody has one of those off days, right, where you don't feel like doing anything at all. So what did you do on those off days?
I binge watch basically because I need to have a satisfaction to continue for the next 6 days. So basically just saw YouTube, Prime, Netflix, whatever I found interesting, and then I saw it so that I don't need to see it in the other 6 days. And the other 6 days, I'm not saying I studied all the 24 hours, but I'm just saying that I watched only during like times like breakfast, few minutes. Afternoon I had like 1 hour break, so yeah, and then evening, and then yeah, just little stuff during the other days.
So suppose you're not able to get the answer to a particular question, right?
Yeah.
So how many times do you try?
It really depends on the question. If it's really important, I'll like with practice you'll know which is really important, which is not needed. But if I know it's not needed, I'll just spend maximum 2 times. Like maybe if I get a calculation error, if it changes, I just keep on trying because maybe I'm doing a calculation error, which is like a silly mistake. But if it's a question, I'm getting the same answer once again and again and again. So maximum 2 times, maybe 3 times, depending on the level of difficulty of the question. And even if I don't get it, I have people like friends who are like much smarter than me who got top 500 even that. So I ask those people so that they can help me, guide me, because either it can be a conceptual error on my part or I'm making a silly mistake which they can clarify easily. Because I'll send the steps that I'm doing so that they can analyze it instead of them having to do the whole thing all over again. And they'll give tips and then I can do it because they shouldn't have to face the whole thing. I'll give the steps, they will give an idea like maybe this is the area you're doing. I'll see it. If it comes, fine. If it doesn't, then they'll try it. If they also don't get it, then it's obviously a hard problem because they are like the toppers of India. So I will ask teachers the next day or few days later.
Overall, you had a very healthy competitive friend circle. So that helped you very much.
Yeah, because we didn't care about how we compete with each other. We will obviously see marks, but that's not really like I should beat him. I have to beat him. Nothing like that.
I had one question on that.
Did
any person in your class know you would feel like whatever I do, I'm not able to score as much as how much he's scoring?
Yeah, in the initial stages it was like that because I wanted to beat them in an exam, but then later I just found out that they are smarter than me, so there's no use of actually having to compete with them. But I can learn from them because I'm not only competing with them, I'm competing with the rest of India, right?
Correct. You just accepted the fact that yes, they are smart. I am trying my best. That's maximum I can do. I can't do so much to, just keep my entire concentration on. If I do that, no, my preparation will be lost. That's a great point, bro. So, just the day before your exam, what would you do?
So the day before the exam, surely everyone will be panicking. Oh, the exam is tomorrow. Surely that is very common, and you can't do anything about it because you've been preparing it for months or years. Who knows? But you just have to know that you should not discuss anything with your friends like related to subject, and you have to chill and not read anything related to syllabus because all you have done all through these months and years will really be enough provided you've done it properly. And then if it is enough, it will be showing in the exam, and there's no use of learning something new in the last few hours before the exam also. So even the day before the exam, maybe even a week before the exam, because surely within the last week you have to complete revision of your notes, and taking those notes is very essential, and so you have to complete those notes, and then later on, a few days before the exam, you just have to chill. You'll have everything in your mind, and when the exam will come, if you forget something, it's not like it's just the only question that you forgot. It's like 1 in 54 questions or 1 in 108 questions. But the form will provide the revision and you memorize everything properly, then you surely won't forget that much.
I loved the point where you said don't discuss with your friends, because I believe very strongly in this point. whenever you call your friend, you don't know what information they're going to give you and how you'll react to that particular information. It can do positive effect or a negative effect. Most probably it will be a negative effect. So I was like, no, I won't call anybody during the examinations and all.
Yeah, the one thing that I was even practicing like 4 days before the exam on like lessons that I was weekend. It was just probability before I was. Like I got better at it, but I just had a few of doubts in it, just conceptually. So I wanted to ask a friend. What he did was he confused me even more. That was a big problem because in the last few days, you should never be confused in what you have studied. It's okay that they know more than you or they know something else different from you. But what you know should be within you and that shouldn't change. You have to have the same thing that you learned and do it till the exam is over. So what I did accidentally, which I shouldn't have done actually, I asked one question in probability just for conceptually clearing that out. And he got confused because he wasn't sure about it.
Okay.
So then we both discussed for a few minutes, like 10 minutes, and then we just came to a conclusion, forget about it, learn enough, and then we just leave it. And then we basically just talk normally, just talk basically, or like, what are you doing? Like, because no one will be studying the last 3-4 days, and we all didn't study. I just had a conceptual doubt. So then we just watched YouTube, just get calm, just relax, and you have to be relaxed before the exam. You shouldn't panic.
Correct. I would say that after a point of time, the amount of syllabus you know does not make a difference, but your confidence does make a difference. I have not done that much syllabus. Okay, I went to the exam, finished my exam. My friends who knew way more syllabus than me scored way less than me. Only difference was confidence. What's your take on this point?
Yeah, the only when you are confident in yourself, then only you will be confident during the exam. Because if you're not even sure about what you're doing, and you'll be like, surely people have common things like scared about the exam, what will happen during the exam, what kind of questions will come. Those are all common, but what you have to know is that you shouldn't be scared about it, but actually just deal with it during those 6 hours of, like if it was JEE mains, then 3 hours, but for JEE Advanced, then basically it's the whole day because you have to wait in the morning and then we have to wait in the afternoon. So it's a little more than 6 hours, but you just have to be confident in what you know and just be like, yeah, what I've studied is enough, I cannot do anything more, and I'm satisfied with what I've done. And then in the exam, you just have to deal with the problems.
I have 3 points that I focus on whenever I go for a competitive exam, right? First point is definitely confidence. Second point, inside the exam hall, I will only think about what question I have in front of me, not what I left or not what is going to come. And for this, I use in the JEE mains or both JEE Advanced, you have the full screen mode, right, where you don't see the question numbers and you can only see that particular question. I would do that because for me, if I didn't attempt, the red color was like a danger sign. That would put my confidence down. So I was like, I don't want to see that. I increased to full screen. After I completed my exam, third step was I would assume what the worst case would be, that I would fail in the exam, no matter what. So if I failed, I knew already what will happen. So if I didn't fail, it was double the joy, because I thought I would fail and I didn't fail. So those 3 points are what I follow very strictly whenever I do go for a competitive examination. So how often did you take a test series?
I didn't take test series during the preparation time. It was mainly during the pandemic time because we had a lot of time. We had a lot of time to practice. The main thing is that you have to practice in the final months of your preparation instead of just doing nothing and just practicing small problems. You have to take up tests like the test series and all those things, your institute test series or other institute test series like Allen or something. You can take all those kind of stuff and you just have to do test analysis. That is the main thing because you will learn new concepts or ideas of how you can solve a question. I have solved few test series, but the others I have submitted and I have done test analysis because I took the Arihant test series so that I can learn a more kind of fun, and it was recommended by another friend of mine who was also preparing along with me. So he said, take Arihant test series, it's nice, it's hard. He told it's hard. And I didn't obviously all test series would be hard, but Arihant test series, they kept it really hard. So I took 4 or 5 tests it was very hard, it was very demotivating, but others also did that. Like relatively everyone did do that because it was very hard. So, but still, it was like I couldn't solve that many questions because it was really hard. So I initially did a few tests, then I gave up, and what I did was I submitted those tests and then did the analysis. So at least I'm learning something in that, because during the exam it's like I'm only doing a few questions, but at least I learn from the solutions and then write it in my notes or something, and then just keep it in my memory. But if the test series are easy, then surely, like not easy but moderate, doable, and you can get a good marks and satisfying mark, then you have to do like most of the test series. But if it's really hard, do few just to see like you cannot do more, or you can just submit it, and but you have to do a test analysis. That's the main thing I'm trying to say.
The doing hard test series, demotivation is the major factor. Like no matter how much ever good you are, if they keep a difficult question and you go and you get stuck there, that's it, you're done. So, and if you continue those test series, 4 or 5 tests, it will completely put your confidence down, because you are not getting the answer, again you're not getting the answer, again you're not getting the answer.
Yeah.
That's, you have any particular method of analyzing the test series?
Well, the main method I just had was just first do few test series. For my case, I knew it was very hard, so I just submitted it. And then when I open it, I will see, first of all, my favorite, I wouldn't say favorite, but my strong subject is physics. And I knew it and from starting itself. But usually I get more in maths only. It's like a thing, I don't know why, but I am strong in physics, but I usually get more in maths than the other test series. Because those physics questions were extremely hard. And maths it was hard, but it was doable actually. So that was like a demotivating factor, but relatively I got more marks in physics when compared to others. So then I knew that, okay, you just have to stick with just doing the analysis, learn more. If you don't know, you can just ask your friend who's like smart. And that's what I did. Even my smart friend was doing the same test series.
Okay.
So he also did that, and I could send those to him if I don't know their solution. So I don't understand what they're doing. I can send it to him, he will analyze it, and if he also doesn't know, then basically it's very hard, so it's useless, because in JEE Advanced they will not give the extremely hard questions, they'll just give hard questions.
Correct.
So if he will send to people who he thinks are smarter than him, and if he gets those answers, then he'll give it to me also, else we'll just leave it and go to the other question, because it's not really effective to just spend too much time on a question that you know is very, very hard and won't be asked clearly. So you have to have a strong subject, focus on that also, but you also have to make sure that your second strong subject is very strong, because if you know that your weak subject is weak, and you know that any amount of preparation you do is not going to make a difference, then mainly focus on those two subjects and just practice somewhat in that weak subject.
So basically during the last days of your preparation, just before the exam, like 1 month or 1.5 months before the exam, you would say concentrate on your strong subjects, because they will score you more marks than concentrating on the weak subjects. Is that what you're trying to say?
Not during the last 1.5 months. I'm saying like at least before 2 months and before that, you just have to make sure you concentrate on your strong and second strong subject. Because if you accept that you don't know the weak subject that much, and the amount of preparation you're doing is not really that effective, you know that because you're using the test analysis of those test series. So you can just basically not give up, but practice it, learn it, but just make sure you are knowing that your first 2 subjects will really fetch you the mark. For me, it was maths and physics, and it actually should not be maths and physics. It should actually be chemistry and then either maths or either physics, because chemistry, everyone will know that chemistry should be the scoring subject, but for me, it wasn't really that case. For me, the physics was scoring, and it was actually not really applicable for everyone. But I'm saying that, but a lot of people, even my friends in IIT, they scored less marks than me in physics and even maths, but they scored a lot more than me in chemistry and got a better ranks than me. So those kind of situations are there.
So whenever you're writing your test, right, you start with physics, then move with chemistry, maths, or you start with chemistry?
No, I never started with chemistry because I know it will give me a bad motivation. So I'll start with physics because that is my strongest subject. It will be hard in the test series, so obviously it will be demotivating, but that is the score of the subject for me. So next after doing physics, not I couldn't obviously no one will do all the questions, but doing satisfying amount of questions, and then you have to go to second strongest subject, and then I will make sure I will have at least 45 minutes for my weak subject, and I'll see within till that 45 minutes comes, then I will just go back and forth between those my first and second strongest subjects, and then do questions that I can do before, which I cannot do now, like just making sure that I can do it now if I didn't get an idea before.
Yeah.
And if I get an idea, it will be really helpful and I get more marks. If not, okay. And then chemistry is not a subject you really spend more time. So that's why I spent 45 minutes, maybe even less, because depending on the number of questions and depending on the difficulty of the questions, you'll know how it is.
Yeah, correct.
But it will be different for each and every person because they have their own strongest and second strongest.
Definitely. You don't have to, everybody across, even teachers tell you start with chemistry, but I didn't start. I started with physics because physics was my strong subject. I went to physics, then chemistry, then maths. So tell me about book recommendations for JEE Advanced.
For JEE Advanced, initially anyway you have to start with something. So I started with first Arihant. I'm not saying that will be helpful for JEE Advanced, but since you have to start learning something, you have to start for maths situation. I'm saying Arihant, and then do your institute books and do the Cengage series or Arihant series. That is those two are the most common and the most helpful because they have a variety of subjective problems, which will give a variety of concept clearing, and it will really help. And I did it during the preparation time, but not for a lot of it because my institute kept exams, and then I just have to have a basic knowledge and a somewhat good understanding of it, because anyway after during the revision period you can learn it again. You can do more advanced problems in it. So for maths it was really Arihant series and Cengage series. And nothing else for math really that much, because the Arihant test series really helped a lot during that period. Even my institute test series helped, but because we're seeing a lot of types of problems, so you have to be exposed to a lot of problems. So I took the test series and it really helped for maths. Even for other subjects, I was saying for maths still now. For physics, when I was starting, I started with DC Pandey.
Even I did that.
And it really helped to clear the concepts initially. And then after doing DC Pandey, they have level 1, level 2 problems and all those kind of things, I think.
Yeah.
So level 1 is the level you need to start start learning a subject and start learning a topic. Level 2 is not optional. At that time it's optional, but you have to do it within the JEE Advanced period, because you need to know that JEE Advanced even has tough on it, so it has to be learned. And apart from that, the Cengage equivalent, I think it was BM Sharma, I don't remember, for physics. That book, mainly I did that, but I participated in Olympiads, the National Science Olympiad, NSEP. For physics, it was really the preparation for the NSEP exam, because as I knew that I was good in physics, I needed to have something to prove it in. So I studied for the NSEP book, NSEP exam. So they have particular books for those Olympiads. Okay. So I did those things to improve myself in physics. So it's not actually for JEE, but it will help for JEE, I can say that. So those kind of books will help, and other than that, really, Physics Galaxy books, online it's present.
Okay.
You can have the PDF, download the PDFs there in online, and it really helps because it has a variety of problems, and it really has different level of problems. It starts from easy, goes one step by step to a harder level. So it really helps. And for chemistry, I'm not the person to ask, but what I read was O.P. Tandon, and its equivalents for, I think O.P. Tandon is for organic, but I don't know. O.P. Tandon books for physics, physical, chemical, organic and inorganic, whatever was there. And the Cengage series, I had it for physical and inorganic, because organic they gave even more reactions which weren't needed for the exam. So I didn't really see that many reactions, but it was mainly my institute package problems and the test series.
This is the end of JEE Advanced section. We'll move to BitChat next.